Welcome back to Unfiltered. 20 years ago, there were a lot of lives lost in the September 11th and the terror of that day. Some of them were lucky enough to make it out. Now we share the stories of some of the heroes of that day, so none of us forget. Here to tell his story is my friend and former Secret Service agent, Tom Armas. Tom, thanks for taking the time to join me tonight. It's good to see you again.
Great to see you, Dan. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you and your team coming to meet me. I was a guest speaker today in Pennsylvania, so I appreciate your team coming to see me.
Oh, listen, how we met, I think the audience should know. I've known you for a long time. We knew each other from the New York field office. We were agents. But I was really touched. You were not a very chatty guy about what happened on 9/11. It was very traumatic. But one day I was an instructor in the academy, and you were gracious enough to come out to the Secret Service Academy and talk to one of my classes. And you told the story of what happened to you on 9/11. And Tom, even though I'd known you for a long time, I'd never heard this story. And I looked up from my watch, and 25 minutes had gone by like it was nothing. If you'd share that story with our audience, they need to hear it.
Sure, absolutely. And I do appreciate you running this because we should never forget. I was in the New York field office. We had heard the explosion. As we all did, we were told to evacuate. So we moved down onto the Vesey Street or the alley at the front of 7 World Trade Center. When we got out to the site, we looked up at the building, and you knew at that point that it was not, it was something totally out of the ordinary, and it was not normal, and that there were going to be wounded people. So as you know, we're incredibly well-trained medically. So we grabbed all of our medical kits and we moved over to West Street because we felt that there was going to be a lot of wounded people. So we should get out there and put that to good use. When we got out to West Street, there were a few wounded. Some people had cuts, burns. A lot of fuel had fallen and burned some people badly. So we started to render some medical care. Myself and another agent, John Buckley, moved across West Street, found a woman who was badly burned, brought her to an ambulance, moved back over to West Street, and by the time we got back over there, unfortunately, there were some people who had no other choice but to jump. And so there were some people falling. We got pinned under a fire truck. Unfortunately, a fireman was killed right in front of us. Once we felt it was clear, we came out from underneath the fire truck, and at that time, your human instinct is, it's time to go. We've got to leave. But at that time, fortunately, I had just gotten off of active duty in the Marine Corps, and my Marine Corps conscience said, hey, it's time to go to work. And it was time to go to work. So Agent Buckley and I ran into the tower looking for anybody wounded that we could help. We worked our way up to the 27th floor looking for anybody, again, who was wounded, but people just moving down the stairwell. We got up to the 27th floor. There was a gentleman who was paralyzed in a wheelchair who did not want to come down. He was very, very nervous. We were talking with the firemen and the crew. The firemen were staged waiting for orders there. The fire captain or lieutenant said to me, you know, we'll take him down when this is over. So I said, hey, you got it. We'll go up a couple more floors and make sure that no one's still on the floor. Unfortunately, that gentleman, his best friend, and those firemen did not make it. John and I continued up to about the 44th floor, where we were clearing the floor down, making sure no one was hiding under their desks or staying behind. We pushed the stairwell completely, so it was completely clear, and got to the, as you know, the mezzanine area. I had just advanced a week before for a protective assignment, the World Trade Center, so I knew the floor plan very, very well. While I was in the mezzanine area, we were ensuring people coming out of another stairwell getting down to get out onto West Street. And when you looked onto the plaza, which was a favorite place for all of us, it looked like a war zone. I've never seen anything like that to this day in my life. Pieces of plane, pieces of people, just the most horrible sight I have ever seen in my life. There was a lot of carnage. A couple ladies were passing out when they looked over. I actually walked out into the debris field to cover some because it was so horrible. We had made sure that the stairwell was completely empty, and we started to talk to some of the police officers. And then at that point, we heard the loudest rumble I've ever heard in my life. And you get what I called happy feet. And you look to your left, you look to your right, you didn't know what to do. We didn't realize, but it was the South Tower falling, and we were in the mezzanine area of the North Tower. And debris started coming through the big windows, started coming at us, and everything seemed to go in slow motion. myself and Agent Buckley, we ran into the corner, the northwest corner of the North Tower, and I basically took a knee. And I wish I could tell you I said something really profound, but I just said, I hope it doesn't hurt. And there was a gentleman between John and I, and just randomly, that gentleman was killed, or we couldn't see because everything went black. The building rumbled. That gentleman was severely killed between us. And then it kind of got a little pandemonium in the darkness. It was completely dark. No one knew what had happened. We didn't know that the South Tower had fallen. And so debates ensued where to go. And then in that moment, I said, hey, the Marine in me's got to take over. So I led some people out onto West Street, and that's where you saw me grab that woman after I got people out behind me and then put her in an ambulance.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, it's an honor to know you and John Buckley both and to call you both friends. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your story with the entire nation tonight. We all need to hear it. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You got it, Tom.